So, following the spate of terrorist attacks that we've seen recently by Islamist extremists, I wanted to take some time to explain the work that Jane's Military and Security Assessment Centre, and in particular Jane's Intelligence Review, is doing on this particular phenomenon. Obviously, we've seen attacks recently in the Sinai, the downing of a Russian airliner. We've seen attacks in Mali, Turkey, and then most recently in Paris, and obviously a lockdown in Brussels. So Jane's Intelligence Review at the moment is doing work in a variety of areas. I'm going to highlight a couple of those. Counter-radicalization is one. Monitoring Islamist extremist activity online is another. And then we also produce features regularly on the work of Islamic State affiliates around the world. So one of the first things I wanted to highlight was some work that we've done recently with inputs from Arizona State University and from the Quilliam Foundation on counter-radicalization. This is obviously a very salient issue at the moment. It's the question of how young people become drawn into this extremist ideology. On the screen now, you will see a sample that we've constructed of radicalization pathways. I should say this is not prescriptive, it's very much a sample and it's taken from various models. And it shows the 5 phases through which people progress from being unradicalized, unengaged, and then finally to moving into activism and violence. I think the main finding from our study into counter-radicalization was that a lot of the models that have been used hitherto have not actually been updated in recent years to take account of the massive explosion in social media use, particularly Twitter, since around about 2007-2008. So what our model does is propose new ways of looking at how people are radicalized online and the counter-narratives that can be deployed against this extremist messaging. We also have a regular coverage within Jane's Intelligence Review of Islamist extremist activity online within forums, on Twitter, on Facebook and other social media platforms. At the moment, this is a monthly summary which is prepared from Arabic language sources, and that aims to summarise how extremists online are reacting to recent events. We'll also be expanding that in the future to include an Urdu language section. So on the screen now you can see a screen grab of the sorts of things that we cover. This is Islamic State educational material that's been circulated for children in the age ranges 8 to 14, and it includes things such as the normalisation of violence, the banalisation of violence through using AK-47s in mathematical puzzles. So that's the sort of thing that we cover in terms of extremism online. We also study the Islamic State and its various affiliates throughout the world. On a month-by-month basis. We've covered South Asia, we've covered Southeast Asia, Azerbaijan, for example, and obviously Boko Haram, which is a case in its own right. A large faction of Boko Haram pledged allegiance to the Islamic State back in March of this year, and we've just conducted a major feature on how we see that particular faction evolving in the future. And on the screen now you can see one of the graphics that we've used to support this feature, which shows the distribution of Boko Haram attacks within the Lake Chad Basin region, and you can see there that it's primarily concentrated in northeastern Nigeria. So we will be doing many features in the future on different affiliates of Islamic State around the world and also Al-Qaeda. And finally, as part of our coverage of jihadist activity online, we also look at cyber technology and the evolution of new platforms that could be of interest to insurgents, criminals and terrorists in the future, and therefore also to law enforcement. Now, this includes such things as the advent of the always-on internet, video streaming platforms, digital personal assistants, and near-field communication. All of these 4 we have identified as areas where there could be a substantial growth in terrorist usage in the future. The struggle against Islamist extremism, terrorism online and the activities of jihadists online is obviously something which is potentially a generational struggle, and so it's something that we'll be continuing to cover on a regular basis, both within Jane's Intelligence Review and Jane's Military and Security Assessments. For more information, please come and have a look at Jane's Military and Security Assessment Centre and search for Jane's Intelligence Review.